everybody, this is Skeet.
I am Mushin Mikey.
Rock and Roll Roundtable.
As always, presented by our good friends over at Moshman Media.
This week, musicians over or under drummers.
Yeah, we've done the overrated, underrated band thing before, and but there's always either a really good person, like a hidden gem in the band, or there's a guy you consider like a turd, depending on the instruments. So I thought, okay, there's probably a few drummers here and there I think are underrated, and I know there's a few that are overrated. And then we got the ones that are aptly honored, whatever you want to say. They're in right where they need to be as far as the accolades they get. So what I did was I wrote a list, top five, basically, of underrated and overrated drummers. So we'll start with the or we'll just start with the overrated. Get that out of the way. Get the negativity out of the way.
Okay.
And I started at number five. I'll go up to one. I listed these in my personal order, and there's going to be a couple in there I'm going to get, I'm sure, arguments from you about. That's okay. But number five for me is Trey Cool from Green Day.
Okay.
I don't think he's a bad drummer per se.
Okay.
But man, Green Day is a formula band. They don't play anything. They might have the somewhat of a ballad here, a little bit here and there. But basically, everybody talks about him being one of the greatest drummers in punk rock, and I'm like, I don't get that. I mean, he's very similar to me. Travis Barker is kind of the same way from Blink, but I just think Trey is really doing nothing special.
Okay.
So, I think a lot of people, Green Day in itself, I don't think deserve a lot of what they get anymore. Maybe back when Dookie was hitting, or Nimrod album and stuff like that. Anymore, after American Idiot, I just didn't think their stuff was that great. But that's just my personal opinion. Nothing against Trey. It's just, I think he plays to the band, which kind of brings him down to me. But I've seen so many message boards and stuff where it says, "Oh, Trey Cool's one of the best drummers in the world." I'm like, no, he's a system drummer. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but for me, it's okay. Now here comes number four. This one's gonna get you. I know it is because you've talked about him before, but I do not get the allure and the overwhelming fuzzy feeling from this guy. It's Keith Moon from The Who.
Okay.
I do not find him to be anything special.
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't. I thought his style was quirky looking, and he was, had that weird. I mean, to watch him play drums was strange. But that wasn't what I'm knocking him on. I didn't hear anything that like trend setting. It was to me. Now, a lot of people that are technical drummers might say, "Well, he's doing this and this." I don't hear it personally.
I think a lot of his appeal was it was his personality as much as his fucking drumming, because he did some really good stuff. And when they were doing like Tommy and Quadrophenia and some of those like a little bit more highbrow type fucking albums,
yeah,
they were kind of groundbreaking. He was a solid backbone for that, and I think he had a lot more musical input when it came to all that stuff than people give him credit for. So I think he's where he needs to be.
Okay.
But as far as I don't think he's overrated. I just think a lot of that, his personality and how he was just kind of crazy, that kind of put him over the top. Yeah. That had people say, "Oh yeah, he's so great." It's like, well, I mean, he was a solid drummer and he was really good, but I think that that personality trait that he had, where he was kind of crazy and doing crazy stuff, is what put him into where you're probably.
Well, yeah, that and the fact that he's one of those guys, and it's unfortunate, but it's one of those guys that's he's a you don't know kind of guy. Because if he had not passed away, would he get as much admiration as he does? It's kind of what would he just be the Charlie Watts or the John Bonham is exactly where he needs to be. He had them funky time signatures that were groundbreaking stuff, but Charlie Watts back there with the Rolling Stones was a solid rock, back in them days. And even Ringo's where he needs to be because he did a lot of interesting things, I thought. But they lived out, and everybody's just kind of like, oh, they're good, but they're not. No, those guys are all solid and good, but Bonham is the exception. But Charlie and Ringo are just kind of really good drummers, but they're not, you know. Oh my God, Keith Moon gets a little too much praise for me, but
Again,
each his
I
own.
think a lot of that goes with some of the stuff that they did at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, for back then, the kick blowing the drums up and
Well,
his crazy jumping on the drums and stuff. It was like, yeah, he was a character for sure, and he wasn't a bad drummer. It's just, I think he gets lumped in with the Bonhams. He shouldn't. It's my opinion. He just shouldn't.
I got you. I
Yeah.
got you. No offense taken.
No, no, it's no disrespect to the guy. It's just my opinion. Now,
Okay.
number three is one that people that know me will probably get a little shocked by, but he self-admittedly is overrated. So it's not like I'm bashing the guy, but it's Dave Grohl.
Okay.
And you know me that I like Dave Grohl type of playing because he's a more aggression and he's all about he's going crazy and it's adrenaline. He's crash and bash. He's not like a super technical drummer, but he can play a lot of stuff. But it's just like, yeah, if you listen to he even admitted it. A lot of like Smells Like Teen Spirit was like the drum beat from You Drop the Bomb on Me. That bump, 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 bump. He even had said that. He said, I ripped all them guys off. And he was talking in his interview. He goes, and the guy said, well, you're still a great drummer. He goes, don't call me that ever. And said, no, I'm not. And it's like, you know what? You listen to the albums, he fit perfect with Nirvana, even
Yeah.
the Foo Fighters stuff he wrote, but it was all that same style, crash and bash, and which I like. But I'm just saying, as a drummer, he's not Danny Carey by he knows his place on the food chain, which it's pretty obvious since he doesn't play drums. I mean, he plays guitar, but he's solid. But yeah, he gets overrated sometimes, and that's coming from a guy that loves Nirvana. Number two might be another one that eats in your craw a little bit, but it's Tommy Lee. I just think he's solid, but when he gets mentioned as an elite drummer, it's like no, he doesn't. He just doesn't. It's theatrics, yeah.
Yes.
The theatrics and the emotion, sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean he beats the shit out of the drums. He's solid as hell. He's a great pocket guy, but you don't hear him doing like fills and stuff, which it's not him. It fits the music, but it's also when you hear him again, he gets lumped in with these because of the success of Motley Crue and his flamboyant kind of outrageous and the sex tapes and all this stuff. He gets brought into the great drummer conversation. No, he's rock solid, but yeah, I think he gets a little too much. Uh, it's just he's a
Too
B plus
much
drummer.
praise.
He gets dragged into the A category when he's probably about a B plus drummer. Again, no disrespect because I can't play drums to save my ass, but it's one of these things. I'm not bashing on any of these guys as being horrible. They just get way too much. Oh, you're great. No, you're very good, but you're not great. Okay,
So,
we're gonna go to number one.
well,
And if
hold
you got
on,
something to
hold on
say
a
about
minute. Now
Tommy,
let me rebuttal here. I
okay.
I do agree he's overrated, but he does take the drum solo thing to a fucking its own level.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
So
theatrically great and
he
playing.
deserves the accolades for being a great show drummer for
Oh
like
yes,
some of the
yes,
stunts, and for a long time that was, they concentrated more on Tommy's drum solo than letting Mick have guitar solos.
right. It's
You know what I'm
one.
saying? So they
Yeah,
they kind of thrust him into that position to come up with the crazy shit. So as a show drummer, he's right where he needs to be. But I'll give you that. They kind of
yeah,
overrate him a little bit.
yeah. I mean, his drum solo was crazy. I just saw it last year, and it was like phenomenal drum solo. Still solid, like I said, in there, but just a little overrated. Number one, I think everybody's gonna know, and it's like, and the only reason I joined the party to say this guy's overrated is because once it gets pointed out, I started listening to it a lot more. It's Lars Ulrich.
Okay.
And his fills are all people make fun of him because his style is so the same every song. It's vanilla style. He doesn't take any chances like some of these other guys. He almost seems like every fill he has is rat tat 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 on the it's never around the side and the triplets and a little more technical stuff, which I think sometimes would hurt the songs, but other times would be I've heard other people play like Metallica songs in their own drum style and it added something to the song. But Lars is just, he's like paste, copy paste. It's
Okay.
like every fill's kind of the same. He's not horrible at timekeeping, I don't want to bash on that. And his success is, of course, amazing success. But it's like, yeah, it's just when you hear anybody say that he's one of the top metal drummers in the world, that's a joke.
Do
He's not.
you
He's not even close to top 10.
do you think his footwork for his for all the double bass work that he does is commendable?
Yeah, but
Would you say that kind of put him into the prominence?
for that time frame, yeah, sure. I mean,
Okay.
nowadays it's like double bass is so commonplace, and
Yes.
it's like done with people can do that side twist in their leg, million mile an hour stuff. Lars don't try that because he's our age. Hell, he ain't gonna try it. But yeah,
But you know what I'm
yeah.
saying. Do you
As
think
an
that's what
innovation, yeah, an innovator back in the day, maybe for the thrash style was a little more double bass than you would hear maybe other bands do. And I
okay.
think his footwork's fine as far as what they play.
Okay.
It's nothing against his playing. It's just the creativity's not quite there. It's
Okay.
just kind of like basic, but he tries to do more, but it's just the same fill every time, kind of. And it's in inappropriate spots to me sometimes.
Okay.
And yeah, I think he's just a little over the top. So we'll go to underrated. Now, underrated's more fun because
Okay.
you don't want to bash on anybody. You're giving these guys a little more credit, maybe. And my number five is I've talked about him on the show doing a lot more back behind the kit than anybody really knows about. It's Peter Chris.
Okay.
And I can hear people already say, "Oh, he's the most basic pocket drummer in the world." If you dig in and listen to not only the Kiss stuff, but some of his other projects, his solo stuff that he plays, man, the jazz influence comes through on like his solo records that he
Okay.
plays drums on. And I think he was lumped into a band that could only play in a box.
Okay.
And for what he did, and we had a drummer like this with us at one point too, that when you were listening to it, you really couldn't hear a lot of extra. It was sounded a lot like a pocket drummer, but
Okay.
to turn around and maybe watch him playing was a different story. He was adding things, and then you heard it after you've seen it. You heard it. That's what I did with Peter Chris. A guy did a video and it was like showing him playing like the easiest songs, like Shout It Out Loud or something.
Yeah.
And he was like doing shit on the hi-hat you don't really pay attention to until you hear it, until you see it. And he
Okay.
was doing some different things. So I thought, and he gets lumped in as being, oh, Kiss is so vanilla, they're so
Yeah. Yeah.
boring, they're straight. Eric Carr is in a tie with this guy. I put Eric Carr in a tie because they're both Kiss guys. Eric Carr brought a heavy. When he joined the band, that their heaviness did go up for Kiss.
Okay.
You're thinking like Creatures of the Night. That album was pretty. I mean, it was a jump up from like Dynasty for sure, and
Okay.
Unmasked. It went past the Elder. You go into like Creatures of the Night. That got a little heavier. He brought a little more thunder with him. So, and I don't think he got enough credit for that in his own right. So those two are a tie at 5.
Okay.
Number 4 it's gonna be it's for me. It's for me. This guy, solid as they come, plays in multiple different bands at times. I've seen this guy 12 times in concert. Never saw him miss a beat, not a one. And he plays to the side so you can see everything he's doing. But it's Robert Sweet from Striper.
Okay.
And it's and he's just been doing it so on the money for 40 years now. And it's
Okay.
just like nobody really talks about Robert Sweet. They just kind of dismiss it. Michael Sweet gets a lot of the attention, the singing and the guitar playing, and you get the outfits get a lot of attention, the yellow and black spandex. But man, you talk about a visual timekeeper. This dude, he's a Tommy Lee kind of guy with as far as showman. He does the show up, but he doesn't quite do the fanatical stuff. He's more worried about his job. But I just think he's an incredible drummer. Doesn't get enough love for me.
Okay. So, uh, quick question. I know a lot of the newer Striper stuff got heavier. So,
Yeah.
did his playing also reflect that?
I think he might play a little more. Tell you the truth, I think he probably did more activity back in the faster songs in the old days.
Okay.
But now it's more like he's still there, but he's like smacking. He seems like he's hitting harder.
Okay.
Kind of
Okay.
looks and sounds like he's hitting harder, and he does the fills when he needs to. And they're usually every song's got a little bit of a different fill to it. And
Okay.
the time he's mixing up the time signatures a little more now than he
Okay.
did back in the day per se. So yeah, that's what I think of him.
Okay.
The third one is a strange one. He's not usually been around forever. He's kind of considered a session drummer guy, but he playing right now. I think he's still playing with Sammy Hagar, and it's Kenny Aronoff.
Okay.
Kenny Aronoff is the essential pocket drummer, but dude, this guy he can do it all. He's one of those guys, and he's super solid, fun to watch. You can tell he's having the time of his life back here. But he does some interesting fills. Not so much in the John Cougar era when he played for John Cougar. He was true to that, but he was still making his little nuances known. But go from John Cougar to a guy like Sammy Hagar and not miss a beat and fit right in with Satriani, and Michael Anthony and the rest of them guys. Because he came in for Bonham when Bonham had to bow out. And he's still there. They really like him. He's been an industry pro forever. I've seen him play
Yes.
with Tom Petty. I've seen him play, all this stuff. And just consequential dependability 100%. And you don't hear his name much. I mean, he's just never been like a staple name, which, I know drummers don't care about that so much when you're like a session guy that plays with a lot of bands. But I just want to throw out some props to him. I think he's very, very talented guy.
I
So
actually, I think he was on Bob and Tom one time a few years
really,
back, and they were talking to him and interviewing him on Bob and Tom. I caught it some morning a few years back, and I was like, wow, and what a career. So
Yeah,
that's a good call. That's a good call, Mikey.
yeah. I think he's right in tune with my number two because my number two is got to be about 97 years old because he looked like he was 60 in the 60s. But it's Tommy Aldridge, man. This guy is still whooping shit up. And, the Ozzy, he was in Black Oak, Arkansas. Then he went to Ozzy, of course, with the solo and did that for a while. Then he goes on to White Snake. And it's like every band he's in is like, he just adds something to it. He's got a weird style of playing. He like squints his eyes a lot, like it might be a tick or something. But when he hits the cymbals, you can see it. But he does. He looks like he's about 80, 90 years old. But man, he plays double bass and still. I mean, he's got it going on. And I've never heard, I've heard that he always gets mentioned. Oh, Tommy Aldridge, drummer, blah blah. I think, man, he gets into a band, he ups their stock big time. Just from the little shit he does, the fills, the like I said, he's in the pocket when you need him to be, but he's going around the kit when you need him to be. The double bass is solid. So yeah, I mean, he does get some credit sometimes. I still think he's underrated for
Okay.
just the genres and the bands and all that stuff and the longevity that he's put through. Number one, probably not going to get everybody. They're going to say, oh, he's probably in a place where he belongs. I don't think so. I think Dave Lombardo has got to be the most
Wow.
underrated drummer for me because you go back to the Slayer days. I get it. The double bass was crazy, the fills, the off timings. But to go from that, and then you go into your own band, he had Grip Incorporated. He did that. Then to play with Suicidal, who's nothing like Slayer. They're like funk. And he was ruling in that, doing that. And then he goes there and plays in Mr. Bungle, that weird, very jazzy kind of shit. And it's almost like he could probably do a set, I would say, in a night. He could probably play with all those bands and not miss a beat. It's just he's not just double bass Rain and Blood guy. He's not just Angel of Death, Million Mile an Hour. He gets in Suicidal. He had the funky chops, the groove to him. Everybody loves to play with this guy. They always say how great he is, at doing things. Then to go into like a weird project like Mr. Bungle, I think he might even play in Phantomos too with
Yes.
Mike Patton or
Yes.
Tomahawk, one of those. And it's like that dude, that's some weird fucked up time signatures. It's not
Yeah.
blast beats, double bass the whole time. So I think he's a wider range of abilities than he's ever going to get credit for. So I'm giving credit for it here. So if Dave Lombardo is watching the show, as I know he is, you can come on anytime you want. I'll keep boosting your ego because I think he's a phenomenal drummer. It
Yeah.
very seems very low key, dude, too, which always helps me. It's that little it shouldn't matter, but in the back of my brain, it's like this guy just seems genuine, like a real fucking good dude. He just kind of
Yeah.
want to root for him. And with all the different bands, though, man, it's like not everybody can do that. You get kind of locked on a style. And some of
And,
these guys,
and it's different. The stuff that he's done is different. So I got to give you props. That is an excellent fucking choice for an underrated drummer.
yeah,
I mean,
I
people
hope
in
so. I
our
hope enough people.
circle, people in our circle already speak highly of him, anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I
There's
mean,
a lot of people that go, "Oh yeah, Dave Lombardo is just awesome." Blah 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 blah. But as far as the wide world, yeah, he's underrated.
yeah, because a lot. To be honest, dude, I've had people tell me, well, Lombardo don't even play in Slayer anymore. I'm like, yeah, I know that. But he's had his own band. He's,
Yeah,
suicidal. Come on, Mr. Bungle. He's played it all. Even though I'm not a big Mr. Bungle guy, but the drum work in that is like so different than Slayer or even Suicidal, and he's still on point with it. It's like, man, he's Danny Carey kind of level for me.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
Danny Carey's where he needs to be. Neil Peart's always been where he's Portnoy's right where he is. I mean, these guys get a lot of credit and they deserve it. John Bonham, of course, he's probably he was the innovator for me, John Bonham, of the weird time signatures that Danny Carey, I think, is the best at now. Neil
Okay.
Peart was the best at doing, the big runs and doing some weird stuff too. But man, Danny Carey, he'll lose you. Even Mike Portnoy tried to play Danny Carey's stuff. He's like, this is a mathematical equation. What the fuck's going on? This the different type, but it fits perfectly. Whether love him or hate him, it fits perfectly with Tool's music. It
Yeah.
really does. Just kind of like Bonham's weird style fit that bluesy rock style of Led Zeppelin back in the day. And there's a million other drummers that I think get credit they do. And there's probably, to be honest, dude, there's probably a million more that don't get the credit, and there's a million more that get way too much that I just don't get around to.
I think fucking Alex Van Halen does not get the fucking love he deserves.
I actually had him right there with,
I
he
do.
could probably he could be a three-way tie with the Kiss guys because I mean, I feel that, I loved his sound in general. But yeah, you listen to some of the stuff, it's just so smooth. He was super smooth. It's one
Yes.
thing about him. And if I go into other genres of music, there's some guys that that a lot of them I don't even know their names, but man, their drumming is just out of this world. Helmet, whatever that guy, he had some weird stuff going on back then. They've changed drummers a couple times, but Dave Matthews Band, that dude that plays for Dave Matthews was insane drum wise. But he's really underrated because I don't even know his name.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those that if you don't go looking, you won't even know him.
Well, I was really fucking impressed with Ginger's drummer.
Yeah, Vlad.
I was really impressed, and it's just for their music, he's doing all the fucking right stuff, dude. So
Yeah,
I'm even going to kind of
definitely.
throw him in there as kind of unknown, underrated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Coming up the ladder. Yeah,
Yes.
he's. I guess I was probably gonna. I knew I was thinking about putting him there, but I'm like, I don't want to include Ginger in everything. I know a
Well,
lot of people say, oh, but
okay, but
you saying it has some work. Yeah, has some
that's
work
that's
to
what
it.
that's
Yeah.
what I mean. So I just I think he if he could go and do stuff outside Ginger, kind of like Lombardo and some of them
Yeah.
other guys have done other stuff to where we could actually hear what else he brings to the table. He might be somebody to keep an eye on in the future. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he has any projects. I've never heard of any if he does that outside of Ginger, but you never know. I mean, there could be a time where they decide they're not going to do it, and then he might pop up again, in like a jazz fusion band or something. Because they have some songs that are, they go like Pisces is really like jazz lounge
Yes,
act kind of thing, and then it kicks in. So yeah, I definitely feel that he's up there too. But I mean, most of them that we talk about on a daily basis as being great drummers, they're all pretty much where they deserve to be.
yes,
There's some that don't get a lot of accolades, like Phil Rudd. He doesn't do an extravagant amount, or what he did, or whatever. If he's still around, I don't know, but he couldn't have it any other way. Kind of like Guns N' Roses, same way. Matt Sorum or Steven Adler, whoever's playing it, they're solid. And they get some praise, but maybe not enough sometimes. Guys that are really under the radar, like I don't know, I think his name Brian Marshall, I think is his name. I don't want to butcher it, but the guy from Creed, Alter Bridge. It's like he does some good shit that I really like. Yeah, and but it's like I could have a list of 100, so I just
Yeah.
whittled it down. But drumming is one of them things, man. I think if you overlook them sometimes because they're a very important part. You're only as good as your drummer most of the time. Because if they can't keep the time, you're gonna screw up, and it's gonna be a little shit show. And a lot of them are told to not do much, and other ones do extravagant amounts just because that's their style and they can get away with it. I wonder how many bands write songs around the drummer. I bet Rush did. Because I know like Neil Peart wrote he wrote a lot of lyrics, if not
Yes.
most of them.
Yes.
So he probably had a beat in mind. And it's like there's a lot of times when I wrote songs that was one of the first things that came to me was like a drum beat. Or, I had like a humming thing I could do, and it's like, here, try to play to this. Yeah, I'd hum a line, and our drummers, we've been fortunate with what we had in our
Yeah.
heyday back in there, that most of them could connect on it and say, okay, I hear what you're saying, and they knew what you played like. They knew the bass players were going to be where they need to be, and it kind of starts that foundation. If you don't have a
Yeah.
drummer, unless you're playing acoustic, you know, it's
Yeah.
kind of important to have the drummer on point. So drummers in general are probably underrated for the most part.
Well,
I mean,
it's
as a
yeah.
band,
There's
I mean.
such a big fucking part. I mean, what was your opinion on Clive Burr or Nico for Maiden? I mean, they both
Well, I
did
mean,
some great stuff. Do you think one was better than the other? I mean, I want to throw a little Maiden love in there.
yeah, I think for me, the number of the beast and stuff with great album killers, all that. But I think what brought me into Nico so much was when I knew they had a different drummer, and I bought the Peace of Mind album,
Okay.
and they opened the album with that drum fill for Where Eagles Dare. That bump, bump, they opened the album with that. So it's like, what kind of confidence do you have in your new drummer to have him just start your album out? And it was like ever since then, I liked all the Maidens. I like Number of the Beast a lot, but I tell you what, Peace of Mind was that's hard to beat, man. That album was so damn good. Somewhere in Time was great too. But everything after that was, pretty much bangers, except they had a couple duds when Bruce wasn't there and stuff. But drumming wise, yeah, Nico, man. And he was fun to watch. But
Yes.
Clive, no disrespect to Clive though. I mean, that first three albums were killer too. It's just, yeah, it wouldn't be like you couldn't go wrong either way. For me, it's the same way with Pearl Jam. Dave Ambruzzi played the first two or three Pearl Jam albums, and
Okay.
I liked his style. It was that offbeat kind of stuff, and he just disappeared. You didn't hear anything about him anymore. I don't know if he had a problem or what, but I had really liked his drumming on those first few albums for Pearl Jam. I mean, Matt Cameron's really good too. So it's like they're not sliding by getting Matt Cameron, who was in Soundgarden, and those guys are all where they need to be. I think Matt Cameron and them types of people. So yeah, I just and like I don't want to say I'm sliding on any of the people here. It's just you hear things. Sometimes you hear too much
Yeah.
praise and not enough for the other guys. That's
Yeah.
basically where it's at. I'm not saying Lars is a shitty drummer. I'm just saying, yeah, he gets a
Well,
little too
maybe
much.
maybe
Oh, he's great.
just
Yeah,
maybe he just wants to be on point for what he's got to do, and he doesn't want to slip out of that pocket and experiment.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
That's what I
we've known
mean.
guys like that.
Yeah, and I think for Metallica though, as many times as they've kind of jumped out of the box on something, you thought he would too more. But they hey, I can't argue with what their formula is. You really
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just I throw 72 seasons of shit though. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's a topic all its own there. I just didn't like it.
All
Well, yeah,
right. Well, Mikey, I think we could probably wrap up our musicians over or under the drummers.
yeah. So yeah, go out and give some love to Dave Lombardo in any project he's in. He's our top underrated drummer for this episode.
Awesome. All right. This is Skeet.
Moshin Mikey.
See ya.
Peace out.